Okay, so I loved Treehouse as a kid. When I was 5, Treehouse was everything. I loved it so much that my first username on Club Penguin was TreeTown5 because Treetown was the main show on Treehouse, and also I was 5 years old. So if y'all ever sent a friend request to Treetown5 on Club Penguin, that was me. So Treehouse is this Canadian television channel. It's made for kids. There were so many good wholesome shows on there. I loved Crazy Quilt, which was not about quilting. It's like this lady who like teaches you how to make crafts, but they don't look so good because she kind of just like tapes the shit out of everything.
So it'll stand up. Yeah, sometimes it's easier to let the tape do the work.
I loved This Is Daniel Cook and the highly acclaimed sequel This Is Emily Young. But there were also shows on Treehouse that like didn't traumatize me so much as they just kind of like weren't a vibe. 5-year-old me was just like not vibing. I think every generation has a handful of shows that are just like so weird and bizarre, but you just kind of like accept it because you're like 5 and like what are you gonna do, turn off the TV? There's something about the need to make kids shows colorful and imaginative to attract children, and also having to spread a moral lesson, and also the kids show creators like maybe doing drugs and having hallucinations and then being like, oh, if I was a kid I would love that, and then making shows like the Teletubbies. That makes for very interesting children's television. And so I just wanted to share a couple of the shows that like creeped me out as a kid. There's another show that I'm going to talk about later that is very well known for being bizarre among my generation. But when talking about this topic, I like bringing up a We3 because it's a little bit underground. You know, not everyone knows it. It's a little bit hipster. It's a little bit indie. I'm just like not like other 5-year-olds. We3 was like the midnight to 3 a.m. type show. No one was buying We3 merch. Oh my god, I want We3 merch. It's pretty understandable. Like, this is what it looked like. It's about these 3 terrifying looking monsters who live under some kid's bed, and they play games and they make up stories using stuff that they find under the bed. So they're always playing with like old banana peels and old jelly beans and like dirty socks and garbage, and this show is just like very nasty. I don't know why it's gotta be so nasty. There's literally this one episode where like the most scary looking monster, Creaky, is like obsessed with this molding strawberry, and everyone else is like, dude, that shit smells so bad, like you have to throw it away.
It's too smelly, Creaky.
Yeah, too smelly.
No, we gotta keep it.
And he just like refuses. He like dances and sings with the strawberry.
Yeesh.
Yeah.
5-year-old me is like, dude, fucking throw away the strawberry, okay? You're nasty. You nasty. So the 3 monsters are Bunwin, whose personality is basically just girl monster. There's Creaky, who is the worst looking and honestly like the worst person. Like, I hate him. He's always bossing people around and complaining when he doesn't get his way, and he's loud, and I hate him and I don't like him. And then there's Pook. Pook is a disaster gay. We'll get into it. So I remember the show being very like weird as a kid. I didn't like it despite knowing every episode word for word. And honestly, like, it is weird. Like, I hate Creaky. I feel like Creaky would kill me in my sleep. But when I rewatched it, I realized that the show was actually just like kind of a vibe. All the characters, but particularly Pook, are very gender non-conforming. Whenever they like play family, Pook will regularly play the role of like a mother or fancy lady. And sometimes Bunwin will even act as like the father role.
What do we do now, Bowen?
Well, I'm being the cloud daddy. And oh, you can be the cloud mommy.
Whoa! My name is Miss Mascara.
Pook shows up in a dress like every second episode. He finds any excuse to wear a dress, and sometimes Creaky will too.
All perfect for my big tea party.
And they don't mind describing themselves as pretty and like doing twirls and being really feminine. Toxic masculinity doesn't exist in We3. All the men in We3 are very secure in their gender, like, good for them. Also, Creaky lives under the bed, Bunwin lives in a drawer, and Pook, who is undeniably the gayest, lives in the closet. Like, I just feel like they did that on purpose. I thought We3 was weird. We3 is actually just a queer utopia. I guess not always a utopia though, because the one episode that I randomly picked out to just talk about. It's kind of like a metaphor for racism and or transphobia. So basically what happens, Pook and Creaky, they come together, they want to start a club. And Pook, God bless him, but he only has one brain cell. He's like, oh, let's do the purple club because I'm purple. But then Creaky is like, well, I'm not purple, so let's make it the blue and purple club so that I can be in this club too, which is like, okay, fine, whatever. But then Bunwin comes along and she's like, oh, can I be in the club? And they tell her no, she's not allowed in the club because she's not blue and she's not purple, and they can't pretend like she is.
Only blue and purple are allowed in this clubhouse.
Oh, but I'm purple on the inside. Really? I promise I am.
Well, you're orange on the outside, and we can't play with you, Bunwin.
And even though she's obviously upset by this, they will not change the rules of the club. Even though the club started by changing the rules for freaking Creaky, that asshole. Why don't they just change it again to the blue and purple and orange club for Bunwin? I'm too invested in the show. Then Bunwin sings a song about how much she hates her fur color, and it's like, damn, they really got in her head.
Nothing goes with orange.
And Creaky and Pook literally starve themselves because they can't find anything under the bed that's blue or purple to eat. And so through starvation, the gang realizes that like maybe being racist or transphobic like isn't a good idea. And so Pook is like, okay, let's change the name of the club. And I'm like, okay, they're gonna change it to the blue and purple and orange club like I suggested. But no, Pook, being very gay, is like, let's change it to the Rainbow Club.
The Rainbow Club!
This show is queer coded. Is we three the reason that I'm gay?
It's a magical toy castle day!
So Toy Castle is about all these toys that come alive when the children are sleeping. And through ballet dance, they reenact fairy tales like Cinderella or classical ballets like Capella. And honestly, I don't actually have anything bad to say about this show. It is creepy. Like, this guy is called the Goblin and this guy is called the Clown. Their makeup is scary, but I found them kind of like charming and funny as a kid, so they weren't that bad. Tumblr says that they're gay, so I think that's why I didn't mind them. There are these like scary fucking frogs in the show. They are awful looking.
They did their funky frog a doodle 5.
Why are they so big? Why are their heads so wide? Why are their mouths always open? Everyone else on the show has like really cute costumes, and the frogs are not main cast, so they only show up every so often, and when they do, it's like really jarring and scary because their heads are like so big and they're so ugly. But honestly, like, I loved this show as a kid, and after rewatching a few episodes, like, I still do. It's very wholesome and sweet, and the dancing is really well done. It's still got all those like, oh, crazy sound effects and like goofy voice acting, but for the most part, it was calmer than the other shows that they had on Treehouse. I remember like laying on the edge of the bed with my face pressed up to the square television and just like falling asleep to the stories. I loved Ragdoll. She's very relatable.
Ragdoll woke up with her head full of wobblies. And all she could think about was her wobbly head.
5-year-old me was like, yeah, me too, girl. Like, sometimes I get wobbles in my head and all I can think about are the wobbles in my head. Anyway, I mostly just wanted to point out that the show existed, and even though it's creepy at times, I like it, and it's got good vibes.
In the night, God.
This show does not pass the vibe check. In the Night Garden is the most lol random show I've ever seen. It's very Teletubbies-esque. I'm sure you've heard of it. Every episode starts with like a little kid going to bed and they're getting their hand caressed like that, and I've always hated it. Even when I was a kid, I did it to myself. I had like other people do it to me, and it's just like, it just only feels weird. It doesn't relax me. And then we're just randomly transported to the Night Garden where we follow this blue monster, Iggle Piggle, and he just like walks around and says hi to his friends who all have like these really scary faces that just like stare into your soul. He has a lot of friends. The show includes Iggle Piggle, Upsy Daisy, Makka, who I love Makka, the Tombliboos, the Pontipines, the Waddingers, the Ninky Nonk, the Pinky Ponk. There's also the Hahoos and the Tittifers. Those ones sound so gross. And then basically nothing happens for the whole show. It just lasts for a half hour. The first episode is just Makka walking up to everyone with a sponge and cleaning their faces. I don't know why it's his job to clean their faces, but it is. Sometimes if nothing is going on, the narrator will just like say a character's name just to like fill the silence.
Upsy Daisy and Iggle Piggle. Upsy Daisy and Iggle Piggle.
Daisy?
Upsy Daisy.
Basically, the show is just all the characters popping in and saying hi. The show's like, do you remember Iggle Piggle? And 5-year-old me's like, yeah. And the show's like, do you remember Makka Pakka? And I'm like, yeah. And then the narrator's like, okay, time for bed. And then we watch Iggle Piggle sail off into the dark ocean horizon. I remember really not liking Upsy Daisy as a kid because her hair like moved with her emotions, and that just like my soul hated that for her, honestly. The Pontypines and the Waddingers are awful. They're like these two like big small families, like, okay, wait, like big as in like there's a lot of them, and then like small as in like they're short. Whenever they come out, the narrator has to count them, but it takes so long because there's so many of them, and they just like squeal and like make fart noises the whole time. Like, they're just unbearable. They say in like articles that the show is supposed to be nonsensical because it's just supposed to put kids to sleep, but then shit like this will happen. I can't fall asleep to that. It's chaos.
That is chaos.
Yeah, I remember just like not vibing with this show, but I also remember owning an Iggle Piggle and a Ninky Nonk. Sometimes being a kid is like that. You're like, oh, I hate the show, but also I'm like 6 years old, so I really need that Ninky Nonk mom. Honestly, I feel like In the Night Garden is more for adults than it is for children. I love the show way more rewatching it than I did as a kid. As an adult, I can appreciate In the Night Garden as a surrealist, trippy piece of art. The show has cultivated this whole community of people coming up with conspiracy theories about what it all means. Like, is this the child's dream? Are they Iggle Piggle? Do they see themselves as this monster with a large forehead? What does that say about the child's self-image? There's this really popular one about Iggle Piggle being a dying sailor. In the Night Garden is like his hallucinations as he's like starving on the ocean. And when the narrator tells Iggle Piggle to go to bed,
Iggle Piggle's not in bed. Don't worry, Iggle Piggle. It's time to go.
that's like God telling Iggle Piggle, like, move on, it's okay, let go of your life. Also, is Makka Pakka a lesbian? I accept all of these theories. Honestly, I've come to realize that In the Night Garden is like my favorite show now. I'm actually going to sit down by myself with a beer and watch every single episode of In the Night Garden. I was so busy being scared of Upsy Daisy's hair when I was 5 years old that I didn't appreciate the beautiful, gritty, heart-wrenching story that was woven into the subtext of this magical children's TV show. Also, when Makka Pakka talks, it sounds like he's saying motherfucker. It's very funny. So in conclusion, after rewatching all these shows that used to freak me out as a kid, I realized that they weren't actually creepy. They were just gay, and I didn't understand it yet. And now I understand it. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Bye-bye. I'm like a bird, only fly away. I don't know where my home is. I don't know where my home is. I'm like a bird, only fly away. I do not know where my home is. Thumbs up for watching the video.